All right, guys, so today we're going to talk about the 4 ways for how contractors leverage AI to make more money in their construction businesses. Let's get started. So first, maybe a couple of words about myself so you guys know why you should even listen to me. I'm a machine learning engineer who worked for hedge funds, who worked for tech companies, but who ended up working as a machine learning engineer for a construction company. And while I was doing that, I discovered that there's so many ways you can use AI to automate the processes of building and running your construction business that allow you to make a lot more money and save a lot more time as you're doing that. I also run a company called Handoff AI. You might have heard of this. One of the things that we are really well known for is AI estimating, but Handoff AI actually is a full-fledged AI agent that allows you to run pretty much your entire construction business, including project management, scheduling, doing your daily logs, communicating with the folks in the field, as well as communicating with your clients and managing your finances as well. So as I work through the couple of things that I wanted to talk to you about, I will also briefly mention Handoff AI. I'm a little bit biased, of course, but at the same time, I want to make sure that you guys know how to apply AI in your construction businesses, whether that's with using Handoff or not. And if you have something like ChatGPT or Claude, in many instances, you can also use those tools to help you out. Handoff is, of course, a little bit more positioned for construction companies, and I'll explain why, but just wanted to let you know that any AI tool out there can probably help you to do at least some of what I will describe. So let's just get into it. First of all, let's just talk about how can you bring more deals through your pipeline that actually close, right? If you're trying to make more money for your construction business, one of the best ways to do that is simply to win more jobs. One of the things that we found is a big predictor of how well are you going to be winning your jobs, like how likely you are to close a certain job, is the time it takes for you to respond to a client. So I think we all know that at this point, consumers are spoiled, right? And all of us are consumers. We all do the same thing. We order our food through Uber Eats. We order our products through Amazon, and we expect this instant gratification. But when you work with a homeowner, the experience that we as contractors often provide to them is just not the same, right? It's always lacking because the time it takes for them to find out how much something is going to cost, it's typically very long. Sometimes it can be days, sometimes it can be weeks to get back to a homeowner with an estimate that you believe will close, right? But the problem is when you do that, when you take so long to get back to that homeowner, what often happens is they might decide that they don't want to do the project, right? They might decide that they want to go with another contractor. They might decide that they're going to try and do it themselves so they can call back to you later and say, hey, I fucked up. Actually, can you help me out with this? And so in order to prevent this from happening, the best way you can do is to deliver that homeowner a bid right on the spot, right? So if you were able to come on the job site, take the measurements, take the notes, and be able to just go in your truck, put together a proposal, come back, and then while the homeowner is right there at the kitchen table, show them the proposal and say exactly what you're gonna do, at what price, maybe also offer some financing options, I don't know, but show them that proposal right there and then, odds are they're gonna close. In fact, we've observed a 2 times increase in close rate for every week that a homeowner gets their proposal sooner. So if you are getting a proposal out today, instead of a week from now, you're more likely, 2 times as more likely to close that project as a result. So one of the things that you should try to do is get your time to bid to shrink as much as possible. Now, the problem is, of course, that you don't want to be just throwing out random numbers out there, because if you go and give something to the homeowner that is inaccurate and then they sign that proposal, well, now you're on the hook to actually deliver what you just described to them, right? You actually are on the hook to deliver what they just signed. So you don't want to be in a position where you have to go back to them and say, hey, actually, I need a few $100,000, or hey, actually, I need a few $1,000 to complete this job for you. I have to change a couple of things, send you a change order. Nobody likes hearing that. So you want to avoid the situations as much as possible by creating a bid that is actually accurate. All right, so of course the question is, how do I send something out that is both accurate and fast and closes that deal for me. Of course, I think this is one of the best places where AI can help you today. AI has gotten really good at understanding a description, even a photo, and then being able to generate something that is a proposal that you can, with some edits, show to a client. You can check out tools like ChatGPT, of course, to try and do that. What we found is with those types of AI tools that are not specialized for construction, the number is not always accurate. I think it's a great place to start. I think this is where you can understand how you can use AI to actually create bids. And I think for the smaller jobs, maybe it's a smaller size handyman job, a smaller painting job, I think they're perfectly fine. And so if you want to go ahead and try that, load up your ChatGPT or load up Claude, and then ask that AI app to generate an estimate for you, and then compare that to a project you've done before and see how that project actually was estimated and the price that you got for your area versus what Claude or ChatGPT gave you. And odds are it's probably be in the ballpark. Now, if you wanted to be even more precise, even more specific, using a construction-specific AI product like Handoff would really help. Handoff connects to your suppliers like Lowe's and Home Depot and others, and then it brings in that specific supplier data as well as your past jobs to generate an estimate that is very detailed and accurate and that you can send out to your homeowner right away. So number one, try to get your jobs out faster, reduce that time to bid, and make sure you're staying accurate while you're doing that as well. And this is how you're going to be able to win more projects. All right, so if one way to make more money is to simply win more jobs, that doesn't quite scale all the way because at some point, you may not have enough of a team to be able to go and execute on those jobs. And that's a great problem to have. But at the same time, you want to look for another point of leverage. So increasing revenue is one, but another really important one that contractors often neglect is increasing your margins. And when I say margins, I don't just mean the markup that you charge right at your proposal. I actually mean the full-on costs that you incur as you work on your jobs. And often enough, of course, that is direct inputs, that's your labor, that is your materials, that is your equipment, that's your overhead. But at the same time, it's a bunch of other things that you may not be measuring. So one is your office costs, your staffing costs, your marketing costs, right? All of that contributes to the cost of running your business. And the cost of running your business is what creates your margin at the end of the day, right? How much profit margin did I actually make? So let's talk about what we can do with margin. So there's a couple of ways that you can increase your margin, and you can use AI to help you increase your margin. So first one is, let's talk about margin that is directly applicable to a given job. So what often happens is as you go through the project and you try to track your inputs, try to track your costs, not everything gets reconciled as quickly as it should be, right? Because let's say you created your estimate, that became your budget. And as you're working on that budget, as you're working on that project, and as you're actually getting real costs, real invoices from your subs, real receipts from your suppliers, you want to make sure that you reconcile those against your budget, because then you will know exactly how much money you're making on this specific job. Now, it's a super cumbersome, super paperwork intensive process. And if you're somebody who is running a construction business, you're trying to grow it, you're the owner operator, odds are you don't have the time to sit down at the end of the day and then count up everything that's in your receipts from Home Depot that have been crumpled up by your project manager, right? That's just not going to happen. So what can we do instead to help you to reconcile those costs sooner? And of course, this is where AI is also an incredible enabler, right? You can give an AI tool your estimate, download it as a CSV file, as an Excel file, put it into the AI tool, and then start to aggregate your expenses as you go along, and then ask that AI tool to analyze your budget against those expenses, right? And at least this is a good start because it will start to tell you, if you continue to, let's say, work through the same chat session, make sure you don't move to a different chat session because the AI may lose the context. But when you work with these types of tools, But as you're working through this chat session and you continue to bring in your actuals, the AI will start to build a profitability picture of this job. All right, and as far as how you can do that with Handoff AI, it is very simple. Once you create an estimate and that becomes a budget, that budget is something that you can track your expenses against. Simply upload your receipts, upload your invoices, and Handoff will start to build up a picture of your profitability where everything syncs properly and where not only you can see that project's profitability, you can see your profitability across multiple projects. And you can use those numbers on your future estimates as well. And so that's where power of a specialized AI tool comes in very nicely. Okay, so remember how I said margins is not just what happens on this specific project. Margins encapsulate everything that happens in your business, including things that are non-negotiable, like that amazing King Ranch truck that you bought, because there's no way you can haul lumber without that one. And also all the things that encompass the process of running your business, including your hosting costs for your website, including your marketing costs, including your headcount costs as well, right? And so as you are trying to grow your construction business, you will often discover that you're running out of people to be able to do the work, right? And often enough, it's not just the project manager that is on site. Often enough, it's just the admin work, right? And of course, when you hire somebody, that is going to add to your headcount costs. So one of the ways that you can bridge the gap without having to hire somebody right away, and perhaps in the future that talented person comes across that helps you to manage and scale your business, maybe as a lead operations person. But if you need somebody just to do those admin tasks, you can actually do a lot of that work with AI. And there's a tool out there. It's a little bit advanced, but if you're an advanced contractor, probably you are because you're watching a video about using AI. There's a tool called OpenClaw. OpenClaw is this open source product that is kind of like your chief of staff, your assistant, that you can integrate with a whole bunch of different tools or a whole bunch of different pieces of information about your business. And this OpenClaw tool basically will act as your assistant, and they call them agents these days, or as we like to call them, teammates, and then be able to help you do things like sending invoices, or converting your estimate into a scope of work, or converting your meeting notes into a bulleted list that you can easily reference after a meeting with homeowner. It takes a little bit of time to set it up. There is a whole bunch of videos out there that explain how to set up OpenClaw. So if that's something that you want to try, go ahead and after this video, look them up. I think that can help you to get started. Of course, you can also do a lot of what OpenClaw does with Handoff. And as I said, Handoff is like an AI teammate. So what that means is Handoff gets access to the information that you provided with, like your projects, your clients, your invoices. And Handoff helps you to manage all of that paperwork, all of that back office stuff. So you can go to Handoff and you can delegate tasks to Handoff. You can say, create this client for me, add a note, turn this note into an estimate, turn this estimate into a scope of work, turn that into an image, a rendering that I can show to my client, put that rendering into proposal, send the proposal out, follow up with that client about the proposal, and then get back to me with a quick limerick about what you just did. So all of those things can be done through Handoff, and you can just delegate tasks to it to simplify your time through the day. And that can help you to avoid incurring additional headcount costs that will then impact your margin, thus making your business more scalable, more profitable, larger, and also saving you a lot of headaches as well. All right, another thing that I think is underappreciated that helps contractors make money with AI is data capture. So what I mean by that is today, you are probably collecting a bunch of information about every project that you're working on. You're taking photos, you're taking notes, you're taking measurements. You are probably taking meeting notes with an AI note taker. And if that's something that you do right now, great job, because that can really help you to build context about a project. And so all of that information, what happens to this then? It gets dispersed. Some of it is in your phone, some of it is in your Google Drive, some of it is in your head, right? And it's across all of these different tools. And so something that AI is incredibly good at is taking a bunch of information and just making sense out of it, right? Something that we as humans are quite bad at, right? Unless it takes us a lot of time and a lot of coffee to be able to get through a whole bunch of paperwork. So taking all of this information, putting that into one folder that AI can query, can access, can understand, will actually help you to run your construction projects more efficiently. And the reason why that is the case is that AI can help you answer questions, right? If you have a plan set, if you have a spec sheet, if you took some photos, if you took some notes, and you need to go and make a decision or create a change order or be able to ask a quick question about where this project is at, you can do that by referencing all of that information that AI has context to, and AI can make these different connections between those different pieces of evidence to make that answer very well informed. And there are tools out there right now that can have access to a folder and query that folder for you. If you haven't tried yet, Claude Cowork does a really good job at something like that. It can just dump a bunch of information into it, provide it with access to the folder, and then just go ahead and talk to it. Now, the way that Handoff does this is Handoff becomes this consolidated place for all of the different pieces of evidence about your job. You know, the entire conversation with your AI about the project initially is a part of that. All of the files, all of the photos, all the conversations with your client, all of the conversations with your teammates, and all of the other documents like your scopes of work, your work orders, your schedules is all in this one single folder within Handoff. And Handoff, being a construction-specific AI, can then make sense of all this information to help you to do the next thing, right? Whether that's moving the schedule by a few days because the plumbers couldn't show up on time, or whether that is creating a new invoice based on a milestone. It will query this information and then create the next step for you. But Handoff also does that not only for this specific folder, it does it across all of the folders within the app, right? So your prior jobs, another job that you might be working on at the same time is also context for Handoff to help you make better decisions. All right, and so the fourth thing that I wanted to talk about is repeatability, right? So what you want to make sure you do, right, in order to make more money in your construction company, you want to make your projects more and more repeatable. You don't want to walk into every project and treat this as something that you've never done before. And I'm not just saying your expertise in installing tile. What I'm saying is the actual process of running that job, from the first touch point with your client to the closeout. That entire process, in order for that process to be smooth, to be profitable, to be repeatable, it needs to be standardized. And one of the best ways you can do that today is by developing SOPs and playbooks with AI. And so something that I've seen other contractors do is that as they interact with their clients, as they develop their projects, they start to document their own processes. And as they document those processes, and maybe that's across little notes here, SMSs there, it becomes an operating cadence. And an operating cadence is exactly what allows you to scale your company from whatever number it is right now to X number of $1 million in where you want to go. And AI can help you consolidate, again, all of these different pieces of information to produce something like a document that you can call a standard operating procedure, that's your SOP, and you can apply this document to scale your business. And I think this is an incredibly important step in every business owner's playbook, is to start to develop those SOPs, because that is what will create repeatability on all of your jobs. So give it a try. With any AI tool out there, you can do it with ChatGPT. With Handoff, there's actually a couple of things that happen. When you join Handoff, we build your own custom SOP by absorbing a bunch of information about your processes that you can provide us with in the beginning in whatever format that is. We analyze your project for you. We analyze your business for you. We give you a snapshot of what your business looks like, and we create an SOP for running your projects and your business processes with AI. So not only you get the standardization, you actually get the AI playbook that now integrates with that SOP, so you know exactly where you can leverage AI to help you run your business a lot faster. All right, guys, so some takeaways here. So what did we learn about how you can use AI today to make more money in your business? First one, revenue. Simply make more top line, bring more money in by closing more jobs. And one of the best ways you can close more jobs is just being the first one to submit the bid. Shorter the time to bid, the more money you're going to make. Second one, watch your margins. Make sure that you document your expenses along the way as you work on a given project, but also make sure that you keep your headcount in check, you keep your other non-project specific expenses in check, and try to use AI and software to help you to automate processes that can be automated. Third one, documentation and giving your AI context. So if you continue to collect different pieces of evidence, your notes, your meeting recordings, your photos, your plans, your PDFs, your schedules, etc., and you consolidate that in a single folder and you give AI access to that folder, your AI will help you manage your project with this rich context that makes sure that nothing gets forgotten, nothing gets out of place, and therefore your costs do not escalate, thus helping you to make more money. And then of course, the fourth one, repeatability, right? If you're trying to scale a business from say 500,000 in revenue to 2 million in revenue, as one of the customers of Handoff AI did when they adopted Handoff, you can do that by creating SOPs, different playbooks, by standardizing your process on a business management system. And so those are the 4 ways that you can scale your company today. And those are also the 4 ways where you can leverage AI to be able to get through those things faster, cheaper, more efficiently. So thanks so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it taught you something. You've been able to learn something about how to scale your construction business with AI. We want to see as many contractors succeed because we believe that contractors are the backbone of our economy. And I hope that you're able to carry something out of this that will help you to be more successful. I will drop more links right here at the description of the video that will allow you to discover some of the tools that I mentioned, a couple of ideas for playbooks for how to apply some of the learnings that I made. Of course, if you want to subscribe to our channel where we do more of videos like this on a consistent basis, hit that subscribe button and you'll hear from me a lot more in the future. Take care. All right, guys, so today we're gonna go on Reddit and we're gonna go and read some of the requests for estimates that people are posting.